And if you're an SMB business, own your product, own that little tiny space, and good things will happen, and your business will begin to grow because of it.
This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 309, How Sales Enablement is Not Another Buzzword, an interview with Garrett Schwartz.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers, and in this episode, we meet Garrett Schwartz. He and I chat about something he calls sales enablement, which is just not another buzzword, but it's actually a system where process, content, and workflow all come together to accelerate the sales and marketing organizations. Garrett's been doing B2B sales for many, many years, and he shares with us practical examples of how you can take your current system and add automation that boosts your productivity. Now make sure and listen all the way to the end for the Sales Nexus tip of the week. Start your Monday morning with a cup of coffee and a big deal report. So, with no further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, Garrett. Are you ready to babble?
I am, Pat. Let's do this.
Garrett, I'm excited to have you on the podcast because you want to talk about something that you call sales enablement. Quite frankly, I'm not certain what that is. Good guess, but I think what I'd like to do is ask you, what's sales enablement?
Okay, so very, very vague answer here, but there's a ton of different hats that you have to wear in the enablement field. But if I were to break this down, basically it's about providing the resources and tools and knowledge to sales people, account executives, BDRs, SDRs, whatever you want to label them, but it provides them the resources to be successful. And especially here at Adobe, I feel like and my group is almost the middleman in between product and marketing and sales. So we get messages from product marketing and from our product teams, and we have to compartmentalize that and put it into a structure that is consumable for sales audiences to make sure that they're doing their job efficiently as possible.
So how is this different from the past? How is this different from people, back in the day when people got an ACT database on their Windows machine and they started calling people up and it automatically dialed and they put it in their CRM and generated a report. So how is this different?
So it's different in the sense of the whole evangelism aspect. Like, it's not just about resources. It's not just about supporting materials to help account executives close deals, but it's about, and I know I do this a lot for our team, but things like podcast sharing the story, things like articles that you write online for blogs, things like short little video clips that can be passed around to our customer base. Everything from customer meetings to demos to events. Our team wears, like I said earlier, a ton of different hats. So it's really hard to pinpoint, what's exactly different in today's, market, but hope that answers.
There's something in there I really want to hop on because it almost sounds like that the marketing department is creating a bunch of tools, selling tools for the sales folks in terms of like blogs, podcast episodes, social media posts that, something that they can then give prospects or, that they're we're existing customers too, I guess, in order to bring the sales cycle along.
Yep, absolutely. And another big part of the whole enablement piece is aligning with sales leaders' visions for the year. How are we going to hit our numbers? What are those sales plays? What are those sales motions? What industry are we attacking? What vertical do we see the most promising return on? Market trends, everything in between. But to give you an example of a sales play. We have one sales play. It's very vague. It's why buy, and that would be turned into a new customer. So we're talking to a net new customer. So in the sales play of why buy, why, for my example, why Adobe, why our solutions, why the cross-platform, why we're a strategic partner. and everything that goes into closing that sales play. Those would be the sales motions. So product marketing and marketing put together some of those assets, those motions, and we go out and help the sales teams deliver that sales play and the methodology behind it.
But is that really different than what we've done in the past? That's kind of the thing here. This
No, it
reoccurring question
really.
I have,
Mhm.
and I don't mean to be beating you up here,
Yeah.
Garrett.
No,
Like,
nope. You are you're right on topic. But I guess the difference from the past is the scale, the reach with all these social media platforms, the reach with a sales organization, um, global employees being able to speak, not actually their language, but um, being able to talk about data sovereignty inside the UK or China or Russia or whatever it may be. It's I think it's the breadth and the scale of what we're dealing with today.
I think the vast majority of my listeners are not working for the Fortune 500.
Mhm.
They're working for, medium-sized, small and medium-sized businesses. What does that really mean for them?
So for small and medium businesses, I mean, the goal is growth. I don't think any CEO or any board or whatever size company it is, I would want to say it would be safe to assume that they aren't complacent with where their company is. They want it to grow bigger, they want it to grow faster, they want it to scale. I think that's the difference between an enterprise and an SMB is we're all trying to get to that end goal of scale, profitability, as much profit as you can reap in.
So many companies, though, don't really have much of a marketing department.
Mhm.
And, and you only got a half dozen salespeople. How do you do this whole this is the struggle. I hear this all the time with the clients I talk with. Like, how do I find the time and the energy to do all this?
So can you be a little bit more specific? What do you mean do this?
Well, for the example that you gave, I think was really good. Was that it's almost like marketing would build a whole bunch of almost like reusable assets, blog
Mhm.
posts, articles that you could share with clients, podcast episodes, tweets, LinkedIn posts, Facebook posts. I don't know what all, and they'd somehow know exactly what the positioning properly is. Share this with the salespeople. The salespeople look at it and they go, "Oh, this is awesome stuff." How can we get a handle on this? What advice do you have for organizations?
So cold calling, customer advocacy, I think is the biggest trait that any business has is customer examples, being the ability to have something in your back pocket that says, you have this business issue or you have these struggles inside your organization. I have a product that can help alleviate those. And here are some people that have taken that journey already and they have been successful doing that. I mean, it goes back to, I think I'm doing this new hire training today as well. And it goes back to the point of, why I don't buy the newest, latest, and greatest iPhone that comes out, because usually there's some bugs and there's some patches that need to be fixed. So I usually hold off and wait for those things to be fixed, whether it's, the 10S or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is people want to see something successful. They want to see reviews before they actually pull the trigger on a product or solution.
The vast majority do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in your experience, could you give an example of where you've done that with for a market and how that worked out?
Yeah. So let's say for e-signatures solutions, we have an e-signature here at Adobe. We call it Adobe Sign. We had a government agency. This is public knowledge, so I'm not disclosing anything secret, but it's the state of Hawaii. They were our poster child for electronic signatures. Geographically, it was very difficult to get posts back and forth, whether it was school permission slips, school waivers, anything to do with that kind of documentation. They found it very difficult, and they were wasting a ton of paper and time and effort. And the first round they purchased, I want to say around 50,000 transactions or contracts that can be sent out and back for return. And since then, they've grown that almost 5x, 6x, no, 10x, because they're using around 400,000 transactions a year. But when you have a customer case study like that, then you can just go rinse and repeat that throughout the whole market. You could say, this is what the state of Hawaii did, and they are growing. They see the value. We want to do the same thing with your processes that are pretty similar. So when you find a successful use case in an industry or a vertical, rinse and repeat that to the customers that you're talking to later on down the road, because it will work.
It goes right to what you were saying earlier, that stories make a difference. And if you can,
absolutely.
So if you can pull out some case studies,
good stories.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. Do you have any more good stories?
We could talk about banking and financial services and kind of, the push that we're seeing in that industry as well for documentation. I live in our document cloud world, which incorporates Acrobat and electronic signatures, and then a little bit of our Creative Cloud suite. So
those things are always asking me to update my Acrobat.
Right.
Can you explain that to us? I tell you, you'd give a lot of value to the Sales Babble audience if you could explain that.
Yeah, no. I totally get it. And I was talking to an influencer the other day, and we were trying to get her on board for promoting our products and stuff like that. And I asked her to open her laptop and open up Acrobat for me. And she was on version, I think her name was Kelsey, but she was on a version that was 10 years old. And I just go, oh no, Kelsey, we got to get you updated. This is bad.
But the killer is it's working for her.
Yes, I know. We push them out constantly, but they are for your benefit. I swear. I promise.
Obviously, they're not, because Kelsey's found otherwise. So,
no, that was her whole point, though. Was she wanted to make sure that she was on the latest and greatest, so that she could perceive her business, her art business, as a profession. And not just some kid that's going around making artwork and is trying to sell it online, but she really wanted to advocate as being a professional. And I feel like you do that through PDFs. Like, there's a reason why CVs and resumes are developed and converted into PDF. One, it's the ability to view it on any type of platform, any type of device, but it's the fidelity of the original as well. But it gives you that professional look and feel, and that's what she was looking for. We absolutely helped her out there.
I'm totally sold. I love exporting things to PDF because it does look really, really, really sharp. You were going to tell a story about banks, actually, right?
Oh yeah, so banking FSI. So let's talk about the back end processes. FSI is very slow to adopt, new technology for a very good reason. They hold very sensitive information, very protected data, so they're slow to adopt, let's say, cloud technology. I know a big buzzword is cloud phobia going around, but the fact of the matter is those back-end processes, that expectation of the consumer nowadays is, I want the same experience on my phone, I want the same experience on my tablet or mobile device, and I don't care what kind of form I'm filling out online. I need it to be consumable, and I don't want to have to key in the same information twice. That's unacceptable. So now we're seeing this big push in the FSI industry, or insurance as well, whether you're filling out a mortgage, whether you're filling out, homeowners insurance, whatever it may be, they are really starting to adopt this digitization or digital transformation, which is a big buzzword in the space. Personally, I hate the word. I think it's overused. I think it's over marketing. I think the word digital transformation has been dead. But if we break it up into what I like to call Garrett speak, is digital transformation. All it means is organizations are trying to figure out how to efficiently run their businesses in the modern workplace, and they're turning to SaaS and cloud-based solutions to do that. It's the ability to push the right message to the right customer at the right time. Like, for example, if I'm not a smoker, I don't want to be asked questions about smoking. If I am a smoker, go ahead and ask me questions about smoking. But it's that concept of sending the right message at the right time to the right person.
We've had many guests on here when it comes to automated email responders, and a lot of those can be programmed depending on what you click and what your interests are. It'll take you down a different path. We've had many guests on here talk about machine learning and AI. And to the best of its ability, software trying to understand who's this person? What do they really care about?
Mm-hmm.
What should we put in front of them? What should we avoid? It's that, right?
Yes, absolutely. But it also comes into the geographical aspect too. Like if I'm an international company, let's say, and I'm selling, I don't know, let's just say fire trucks for the sake of the conversation, even though I don't even know how big that market is, but fire trucks look different in the States than they do in Europe. So if I'm promoting a product selling fire trucks in Europe, why would I have a product that's looking like fire trucks in the United States? It's the geographical domain. It's the aesthetics of a website. It's the experience that you deliver. And there are a lot of things that come into play in there in between, whether it's AI, whether it's your back-end systems like CRMs, keeping accountability key, things like that.
Yep. Yeah. I can skip that GDPR request if I'm in the United States.
Oh God. Let's talk about that experience. Let's talk about digital transformation and how it allows companies to turn into strategic partners. And I know you said your audience is SMB, but if you want to scale your business, you have to think about it in terms of an enterprise, right? And we were talking to a CIO. I won't disclose who, but he made a very good point. He said, I have a couple vendors in-house. They were Microsoft, Salesforce, Oracle, SAP, and Adobe. And he said, if I need a problem that is addressed, I go to one of my 5 strategic partners. If they can't help me or address that problem, I go find niche solutions, which is totally fine. And if you're an SMB business, own your product, own that little tiny space, and good things will happen, and your business will begin to grow because of it. Advocate for your customers, and play for the bigger picture, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
If you were going to give our audience one piece of advice they could take action on, what would that be, Garrett?
Customer advocacy, 100,000% over and over and over. Customer examples, customers winning with your solutions, customers recognizing value. It goes back to one of my favorite models is the Microsoft model with Office 365. In the beginning, when it was first launched, not everyone in the organization had uses for it. And then when they started deploying the software company-wide, these use cases started magically popping up. I guess what I'm trying to get at is if you show value in your solution and you implement it correctly and your customer finds value in it, they will find more use cases for you. They will be your sellers on the back end. Yes, you have your salesman on the front end to structure contracts and find that new business. But the best thing that you can do for your organization is have customer advocacy behind you. Have your customers supporting you, great reviews, everything in between. Customer is always first.
I love it. Terrific advice. Garrett, how can people find you online?
I am on LinkedIn at Garrett Schwartz / Garrett Schwartz. I am not too heavy on other social media like Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. I really live in the LinkedIn world. I think it's a great tool. I think it's an excellent way to share advice. So if you find me linkedin.com / Garrett Schwartz, it should pop right up.
Awesome. We're all LinkedIn people here.
Yeah.
At least I am.
Yes.
So,
for a good reason.
And big fan. So I think that's a great place for people to find you. Garrett, Thank you very much for visiting us here on Sales Babble. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, Pat. My pleasure.
Welcome back, Craig. Are you ready to babble a sales Nexus sales tip?
I am ready.
So what's this week's tip?
This week's tip is start your Monday mornings with a cup of coffee and a big deal report.
Now, is that coffee going to be in a Sales Babble mug?
Of course.
Coffee cup?
Of course. Absolutely.
And you have one, right?
I do. I have it in my hands right now.
And so do I. But I'm getting off track here. Tell us about this coffee cup. Or better yet, tell us about this cup of coffee.
Well, I don't know about you, but personally, I've never found a salesperson that was really a top producer that didn't enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning.
I love that.
But whether you like your coffee or whatever, either way, the other thing that's going to get your juices pumping is a big deal report. Make sure that you start every week, heck, every day, by looking over what are the big whales out there that you're focused on. Make sure you're keeping your attention on that. If you're a sales manager, talk it over with all of your sales people. If you're a salesperson, make sure you've got your top 5 or 10 deals that are the ones that are going to bust your quota. And make sure, even if it's something that you're not going to close for 6 months or more, make sure that every week you've got something you're going to do to move yourself a little closer, a little something you're going to do for the client, a little touch with the client, a little research that you're going to do on the product or the business. Just make sure your attention is focused on those big deals.
That's really great advice. In fact, I do that. And actually, I look at it every other day. I look at those lists because I want to make darn sure that they don't get forgotten.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's so easy, right? We're all so busy. I know I'm guilty. I show up in a sales meeting and I look down the list and I go, oh yeah, forgot about them.
That's really great. So how can people find these sales tips?
Just go to salesnexus.com/sales. And there you can download a PDF of all of the Sales Babble sales tips. And you can get your free copy of our 4 steps to market domination guide.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks a lot, Craig. Can't wait to hear next week's tip.
We'll see you next week.
I've been thinking a lot about marketing lately and going back into the history and reading David Ogilvy's books on marketing from back in the 60s. Those are the Mad Men days on Madison Avenue in New York City. And trying to better understand this whole idea of brand and in a world of noise, make yourself stand out somehow so that people identify with the brand. They know exactly what that's about. You know, I've been able to do that with Sales Babble. When people think Pat Helmers, they think Sales Babble. But I'm also trying to do the same thing with Habanero Media, and I'm trying to make aware of the Sales Babble audience more about that, and at the same time build a network around Habanero Media in and of itself. This understanding of marketing and how it flows into sales and all of that is filled with possibilities of automation. And that's what sales enablement is all about. It's trying to better understand all those things that are automatable, redundant things that you do over and over again, like copy and pasting, things in an email, in a LinkedIn, in a social media post. And that's what I find so interesting about this topic. So if you want to connect with Garrett Schwartz, you can certainly find links to him in the show notes at www.salesbabble.com/309. And if you got a question or a comment, or you want to dig in a little deeper into this topic, don't hesitate to reach out and connect with me either on LinkedIn or go on to the Sales Babble website and click the Babble Me button. Folks, if you could do me a favor, I would really appreciate it. Could you go share this podcast with somebody who you think would find value in it? Word of mouth is how podcasts get shared in the world. That just, it's not through TV ads and bumper stickers. If you could do that, and at the same time on whatever app you're using right now, if you could leave a 5-star review, that would mean an awful lot. Hey, I would really appreciate it. Well, that's all I've got for this week, folks. Until next week, take care and have a highly successful and a profitable selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.
This is a production of Habanero Media.